We want to thank you so much for joining us on this program. Of course, this program is focal point where we discuss every trending issue around us. We discuss with key players in our political environment in Abia State and Nigeria as a whole. My name remains Emenike, the anchor of this show, and I have with me one of the contestants in the forthcoming House of Assembly election in Umuahia South State constituency. Of course, you know that today Labour Party is now one of the key parties which is trending both online, and they are fast building structures on ground. So we have a candidate on that particular party platform, Labour Party, who is vying for the position of the House of Assembly in Umuahia South State constituency in Abia State. I have with me this afternoon Mr. Emeka Jacob-Obioma. Mr. Jacob.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So, the elections are here now, and a lot of people are beginning to show interest.
Yes.
And your party is seems to be taking the wave of the moment.
Of course.
So, maybe I didn't introduce you fully. There are other things you want to let our viewers get to know more about you.
Thank you very much, Irebu, and thank you, our viewers. My name is Jacob-Obioma. I am from Amachara in Umuahia South State constituency. I am married with children. My beautiful wife is in Neka, and I have Crystal and Charisma. I attended Library Avenue Primary School. From there, I proceeded to Methodist College, Uzakoli. And at some point, I went to Holy Ghost College, Owerri, then from there to Abia State University in Uturu. That is for education. I've worked with Mobile Oil, where I did my primary assignment in Port Harcourt. I was there for over a year. After that, I became a pioneer staff with Zynos Computers. I left Zynos sometime in 2002 to start what we do now, our construction firm, and that is what I've been doing since that time.
You're welcome, Mr. Obioma, to this interaction today. Of course, the House of Assembly is a ground where people represent their people,
yes,
and then talk about the interest of their people in the House.
Yes.
So what actually is the motivation? Why did you choose to be the House of Assembly? Why didn't you choose another position? Why the House of Assembly?
The House of Assembly, it's very important. The House of Assembly complements the efforts of the executive. We all cannot be governors at the same time, but we can help the executive to also try to bring democracy and good life to our people. I am from Umuahia South. Unfortunately, we can actually say there is nothing on ground. One of my communities don't even have access roads. There is no light in some of these communities. My people have not been able to feel the impact of government since, I can comfortably say since 1999. The very few that we have had have also been a few interventions by the federal government, here and there, and one other state project that is not functioning for now. So, my motivation basically is to make sure that our people at least have access to good life. People are able to do their businesses. We're able to get the government to come and build our roads, which is the most important. I think in our constituency, Umuahia South seems to have the worst roads in our local villages. Our people are not able to come out or go to their farms to do businesses, and it's really affecting life there. So,
but do you think it's an issue of Umuahia South alone? Because a whole lot of areas in Abia
it's not just about Umuahia South, but right now, I'm sure there are other persons who will also be talking about their local governments. Labour Party is a movement. We have the same ideologies. I've interacted with a few of my colleague candidates, and we're all saying the same thing. So I'm sure that everybody is saying the same thing everywhere. But right now, I want to restrict myself as per this question to Umuahia South.
Okay, yes. Still looking on the Umuahia South, we have a honorable member who is representing Umuahia South in the person of Barrister. I think it just skipped my mind now. But there's a barrister that is representing you at the moment, on the social media, we're seeing, or it's been reported that he's been doing so much. Do you think he has not done so much which has motivated you to run to get something done better?
He has done his best. As far as I'm concerned, everybody goes there to do his best. What he's doing, I'm sure, is his best, but that his best is not good enough. If we come to Umuahia South, we're from the same clan, Umuahia. Yeah, we're from the same clan. Okay. Now, let's narrow it down to our clan. The road to his village is not passable. For the past 15 years, it's a very terrible road. Umuahia Obodinibe Road is the worst road in Nigeria. And we'll have a representative from there. So if you're a representative and you're not able to even get that road in the budget for your state to come and do, then I don't know what else he's doing. That you're doing a few things that are personal for me is not a sign of greatness. It doesn't mean anything. You go to Ehume, there is the Umuahia Ring Road, which is a very important road for Umuahia. That road is not fully funded. Mm-hmm. The project is going at a very slow rate. Okay. There is also sabotage within their party, amongst themselves, sabotaging the efforts of even the contractor doing that road, because of leadership issues. So it's not what our people want. What we're saying is, since you people cannot come together to work for our people, then go. We've kept asking questions. Tell us one project that we'll have in the budget that the state government is doing for us. Okay. Not even one.
Okay. We're talking about, we're still assessing Barrister Jerry Uzosi case, what he's doing at the moment. Are you saying that at the moment there is no project from your state constituency as regards road and infrastructure which is in the budget of Abia state government?
None that I know. The only project ongoing was not attracted by him. That project was awarded by TAOG, with the influence of one of our brothers, Chief Jacob-Obioma. Basically, in Umuahia now, that is the only state government project going on in that whole clan. And it's not fully funded. A project of 9 kilometers since 2007, they have been able to fund, I think, 1 kilometer or less than 2 kilometers. But what I'm saying is, in the last 4 years, there is no single project, major project in Umuahia.
Okay, still looking at these things, you know that most times it's most times being in the House of Assembly and being out of a House of Assembly, it's quite two different things, because sometimes your major play is making laws, pushing urgent matters of your constituency. What else are you going to do to make sure that most of these projects you're talking about really are put in the budget if you happen to emerge as a House of Assembly member?
First of all, I want to believe that by 2003, Abia will arise. By 2023, Abia will arise. You can be sure that with me, I'm going to work with the executive. I don't have my loyalty to anybody else outside the people of Umuahia South and the good of my people. So I am going to work with the executive. I am going to work with the MDAs. I have friends who are members of House of Assemblies in other states. They interact with even federal agencies like NDDC. You need to create a good working relationship with them. You don't have to be beclouded with few sentiments. I'm from here, I'm not from here. No. There are so many things you can leverage on your office to attract to your people. Look at my very good friend, Honorable Ginger Onwusibe. We can all agree that the man is visible. His people can feel the impact of his representation. He's also a member of the House of Assembly. But he's able to attract projects to his people because he knows why he is there. He is not being selfish. He is not interested in creating a few persons to support his next political ambition. No. And that is why, if you go to Sialangwa North, it's ginger, ginger, ginger. He might not have been with the ruling party anymore, but you can agree with me that the average Isialangwa North person, whether in PPA, whether in ABGA, whether in YPP, agrees that they have a representative that have done well. That is what we are saying. I have gone on consultations to so many places. I've been to Olokoro, I've gone to Bakala, and I'm talking to my people also. Everybody is fed up. Nothing is moving. If I'm in government, people should hear my voice. For instance, we have pensioners who are crying every day. When you are in government, you are a member of House of Assembly, we expect to hear you lend your voice to it. The governor might begin to listen to such cries because he knows that the people he is working with are also talking. But you don't hear our people talk about that. Everybody is quiet because it's not their business. No, that is not why I'm going to the House of Assembly. My mom is not a pensioner. My father is late. But I have families, I have cousins, I have uncles. And so it's affecting everybody. So it's going to be different, definitely.
Yes, we're still speaking with Mr. Emeka Jacob-Obioma. We are looking at issues as regards his aspiration of representing the good people of Umuahia South State constituency in the Abia State House of Assembly. That's who we are talking with, and he has given us some revelations on some different issues. The discussion is still on. So let's look at, of course, there are some skill sets, there are some things that are expected if you're going to be efficient at the House of Assembly, if you can actually deliver your assignment properly. And over the years of your experience as working in multinationals and other organizations, what are those skill sets that you think that you have now that can make you effectively discharge your duty as a House of Assembly member?
Thank you very much. Like I mentioned earlier, I was at Mobile Oil for over a year, where I did my primary assignment. I was a pioneer staff of Zynos Computers, the first indigenous computer company in Nigeria, owned by Chief Dr. Liu Stan, AK from Imo State. I have also been involved in road construction since 2002. I have interacted with people. I have done projects almost every part of this state and beyond. I have been to Yola in Adamawa State. I have done NDDC projects in Cross River State. I've done projects for FEMA in Akwa Ibom State. So I have interacted with people. I see how they function. I also have built experience over a period of 23 years. So I have all it takes to work for my people. I also reside in my community. I live in my village. I have lived with my people. I know where it hurts. I know where the shoe pains. So meanwhile, it takes just a little. It takes human compassion. It takes the idea of being able to understand what the next person wants. Our people don't want much. What my people want is they want a platform to be able to work for themselves. People need to do their businesses comfortably. People need to have access to raw materials. People need to bring in their own raw materials. But all these things can't be possible because there is no good access. Like I have said, I went to Umuahia the other day and I had to park my car somewhere to be able to access where I wanted to go to. And that is my community. That community is ravaged by erosion for over 5 years. I can't be a representative and my people don't have access to their place. No, it wouldn't happen. No, it wouldn't happen.
Well, that's a great one. It's always very... most representatives, before going to the House, they feel as passionate as you are. And that's why I asked you the first question. What exactly are you bringing extra? But let's move away from there, from that, look at other issues. Now, are there things that you've set your eyes on that, look, once I step my feet in the House of Assembly, these laws, which are actually your primary assignment, these are what I want to focus on and push and make sure in the first 1 year of my being in the House of Assembly, I should be able to achieve this, achieve that, and this?
Well, that is very definite. There are so many of them. So many of them. But one, payment of salaries, gratuities, pension must become a law in Abia State. It shouldn't be a favor.
How will you do that law?
How I'm going to do that law is that I am going to call my colleagues and say, for this our government to function, because the biggest problem we have in Abia State now, the biggest hunger in Abia State is that people are not paid. If pensioners are not paid, even doctors are not paid. I have
some
friends.
People are still being paid. There are some people in the
but why? That is even the worst. That is even the worst. You're making some people feel less important. Why won't medical doctors be paid? Why would medical doctors close their shop and go on strike? We'll push a law that will make it a criminal offense, that if you don't pay salaries, you're liable. We know that as a governor, you have immunity, we cannot charge you. But there is life after that government. So I am going to push a law that will make it compulsory that salaries come from first line charge, that as the governor is taking his security vote, that salaries are paid. Nobody will have to talk about it. Nobody will have to go on a demonstration. It's a law that will be signed by the government. And I know that by the grace of God, Dr. Alex Oti, who is going to be the next governor of Abia State by God's grace, will also key in and agree to this, that the payment of salary must be first line charge, and he will sign it. He has been a former managing director of a bank. They never owed salaries. He understands that when you pay salaries, you get better output. But now you can go to ministries by 9 o'clock, they are now at work, and you can't do anything because most of them are being owed. You can go to places and it's shut down. My primary school, when I went to collect my first school living certificate, they were on strike. The headmistress had to come from her village to come and give me my first school living certificate. So it's affecting everybody. If she is paid salaries, she will not be at home.
Okay, even on that, we have some parastatals which government are claiming that those parastatals are income generating parastatals, which obviously means that those parastatals are expected to be able to even raise funds on their own to meet some of their needs. But unfortunately, these parastatals are not doing that much. What would you advise, if, as a House of Assembly member, what will you advise the governor? Another issue again is the issue of over-bloated workforce. What will you advise a governor if you are emerged as a House of Assembly member?
Parastatals are self-serving. Government also have a part of subvention they pay to these parastatals. Are the government meeting this obligation? The answer is no. The answer is no. And the parameter for that subvention is because, you know, there are indices there to say, okay, this parastatal generates
the issue of the subvention. Yes, just like I said earlier on, there are some parastatals of government which make money on their own.
Yes.
Like for example, the what was it called? The Abia State Medical College Health, which is in Abia, the hospital in Abia, which the doctors are on strike at the moment. They themselves are expected to be making income on their own. But most of these issues are there. What will you advise the government on this? And again, overpopulation of workers. If you go to Abia Poly, which is supposed also to be making money, the number of workers there are even overbloated. What will you advise the governor on this?
You see, when you say parastatals generate funds, we know how much they generate. For example, the Federal Medical Center in Umuahia, they generate funds. Federal government pays their salaries. You understand what I mean? You see, health, medical.
Also recall that every money that is made there is also paid to the federal government.
Yes.
So any money you are paying goes to the federal government.
Exactly. So why is Abia State not adopting that approach? So these parastatals you are talking about, the money they also generate goes to Abia State government, unless they're telling us otherwise. So if the money they generate goes to Abia State government, then Abia State government should be able to also bring in part of their own and pay their salaries. These organizations, these agencies, the government pays their salaries. They generate funds, sent to the state government. State government is supposed to now send back their own to them. But we're not doing that. Like the Abia Poly you mentioned, they're also being owed. Yeah. The other day we saw a letter from the Vice Chancellor of Abia State University. We don't know if that is true or not. Okay, but the man has come out to say that he made a backlog of 9 months.
9 months, yes.
That he's been able to clear 6 months. Now, as he's clearing that 6 months, mind you, he did not tell us if he's clearing that 6 months as at when due. Is he paying backlog and also the current, or is he paying backlog on accumulating current?
So sometimes he pays 2 months at the same time.
Exactly. So what is left? The 3 months now from that 9 months, is it the only thing he's owing, or there is subsequent ones that have not been paid that is in front? So this thing is also a failure of government. These parastatals have their heads nominated by the state government. So if the leadership of those organizations are not living up to the expectations, you remove them and bring in another person.
So within the law, with if you emerge as a House of Assemblyman, obviously at the moment we are having a serious salary issue in Abia State. That cannot be wished away. It's there in the public. It's a public knowledge, and everybody's complaining about it. So within the law, how can you make these parastatals more efficient, more productive to the Abia State government or to Abia State people?
For example, let me use the ASEPA for example. Everywhere is littered with filth, and because of that, people are refusing. Most houses are refusing to pay whatever that is due to ASEPA.
You can't be paying when you're not seeing the job.
Exactly. So what are we proposing? ASEPA alone, waste management is a very serious business. If you manage ASEPA very well, the state government does not even have any business giving them submissions at all. ASEPA should be able to generate enough money if they are doing their work. Do they have how many houses we have in Umuahia? Have they done illumination? They do it, they stop, it does not continue because the bottlenecks don't want that to succeed. If ASEPA is able to cut away waste, for example, from urban market, the traders will be very willing to pay. If you go to everywhere, the only thing you hear is once in a while there's a government intervention, they use 1 week, clear everywhere, then the place is left to litter for the next 2-3 months. That is why every time, every 6 months, every 3 months, they have new leadership. Immediately any general manager comes out to say, I don't have money to work, they remove him.
Now, oversight function is one very important aspect of a legislature, and most of the challenge we're having now is as a result of would I say non-effective oversight functions, because even as we're talking about now, with good effective oversight functions, they are going to work. If you emerge as an assembly member, are you going to insist on efficient oversight functions of agencies of government to bring forth more effectiveness in leadership?
You see, oversight I must give benefit to who it is due. There was a time Ginger Onwusibe was the House Committee Chairman on Works. The issues he had, he came to our site. He was visiting projects. He was going around everywhere. But at some point, you come to a project and we're not on site. Why are you not on site? We don't have money. What will he do? He will also write to government. He cannot compel me to go back to site because he is aware that I've not been paid. So oversight function of the State House of Assembly also need tactic support of the executive. They can only talk and write, move motion, this and that. But most times politics will not let them implement because they also know what to do to get this executive to do their work. But when it gets down to that business, politics comes into play. And it also has to do with the temperament of the leader. So I can assure you that under the leadership of Dr. Alex Otti, you will see that the House of Assembly will function and function effectively because you have a governor who is ready to make Abia to rise again.
You've talked so much of Dr. Alex Otti, OFR, who is obviously one of the leading gubernatorial candidates in Abia State at the moment. Why are you so confident in him that is going to add value and change the narrative? Why? We have other people aspiring for that same position, or is it just because he's your guber candidate in your party?
In 2015, Alex Otti contested under Abga.
Yes.
He won 12 out of 17 local governments in Abia State.
True.
For whatever reason, the result was not announced in his favor. Everybody in Abia knew what happened. Dr. Alex Otti had worked with First Bank. That Alex Otti was a former managing director of Diamond Bank. We all know the record he left there. He took Diamond Bank from the verge of being an Igbo bank to a national bank. If Diamond Bank is not a good market, Access Bank will not want to acquire them. There are other banks that have gone under because nobody wants to touch them. Dr. Alex Otti had proved it beyond reasonable doubt that he has capacity to manage organizations. You know what it means to be managing director of Diamond Bank. In very serious occasions, he was, named the managing director of the year. So you see, when you look at his background, when you look at his antecedent, when you look at his person, he is very comfortable. When you visit him, you know that this is a man that virtually lacks nothing. When you interact with him, you will understand that what is important for Dr. Alex Otti is that Abia should be able to move beyond where we are. I attended Library Avenue Primary School here, where you have the upper auditorium and the old government house. Nothing has changed in this state. I was in primary school as early as 1983, 82. This is the same thing. This is the same road we have seen. You go around the whole town. If you leave Abia, Umuahia in particular, and come back after 5 years, you will not find your way. Rather, the place probably would have gotten worse than you used to know it. But that is very different. When you go to Akwa Ibom, if you have left Uyo in the past 5 years and you come back, when you get to an NPC, you will stop and ask questions. When you go to Ebonyi State, you will receive much more than them. You will ask questions. But that same thing is not happening here. Because they elected governors that wanted to work for their people. Dr. Alex Otti is not coming to build a new house. He has a palace that is as good as a government house. Dr. Alex Otti is not coming to start flying private jets. He has had those luxuries. So they don't make any meaning to him anymore. What is important to him is that he should be able to come to Umuahia and everybody is secured. We should be able to have a city in Abia State. Look at Aba. After Onitsha, Nnewi, I don't think there is any other generating town like Aba. But Aba is not functioning. Port Harcourt Road is dead. Where I used to go buy construction equipment, every day I keep calling them. It's either they're bringing this from their house because the road is no more passable. Most of their shops is no more there. So they can't even do business. And it's affecting the revenue of the state. Whatever that should have been coming from Aba is not well harnessed because we have not created the platform for the business to thrive. And that is what Dr. Alex Oti will bring on the table.
It's coming to resolve all these issues.
Obviously, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we're still with Emeka Jacob-Obioma. We're still still in the studio, discussing so many things. We've discussed his aspiration. We've discussed what's bringing on the table. We've looked at the gubernatorial candidate of the Labour Party in Abia State, and we are coming to the ending part of our discussion this time around. So, what's your rating? Your party level is like it just like something that's surged up in the states. Do you think your party would have the chance to win the gubernatorial seat and to win House of Assembly seats in the state? Do you think because we have the PDP, which is already on the ground, we have APC that is here now, we have APP
and YPP.
Everywhere is just PPP.
Let us not restrict ourselves to Abia State.
Okay.
By 2023, Labour Party will form the leadership of this country. P2B will become the next president of Nigeria. The handwriting is on the wall.
Why are you so confident?
I am so confident because the youths of this country have woken up. When you go to social media, when you check INEC data analysis, over 10 million new registered voters.
And you think they'll all vote for me?
They will not all vote for me, but you can say that. I can tell you for free that 70-80% of these new registered voters are only interested in this election because there is a P2B that they know that is going to be on the ballot. Most people have lost confidence in the process. You know, so because there is a P2B who they are sure of, who is not a thief, you know, they know. And you look at his vice presidential candidate, very sound, refined gentleman. He was a member of the House of Representatives in 2003. He was a senator. He is the pro-chancellor of Bayes University. You know, so he has the capacity. Look at that combination. So we believe, the Nigerian youths believe, that we have an opportunity to put this country on the right path. You know, so you come to Abia State. For me, it's Labour Party now. Everywhere I have gone to interact with people, 99%, immediately I come to tell them I'm so person, blah blah blah. Okay, we know your father, you're running an election. Okay, which party are you? That is the next question that will come. And immediately you tell them Labour Party, they say I will be obedient. Everybody I have interacted with in Umuahia South says we are obedient. Oh, Labour Party, is Labour all the way? Why are you bothering yourself? I say no, we don't have to take this for granted. I have a governorship candidate I have to market. He might not be able to touch these places, so that is why I am here. So it's not only about P2B, you know, we also need to rescue Abia State. I have friends from Ebonyi. Every day you call them, every weekend, hey boy, what's up? Ade Abakaleke. You hardly hear them talk about Buhari. They don't have time because their state is functioning very, very well. When you go to social media, 70% of people talking about Buhari and co are from Abia State. They will just want to distract ourselves. But those people, they are working, so they are not bothered about.
People are saying that the structure of Obi, or the obedience as they call it, is more of social media frenzy. Yes. That is not on ground. That is structureless. Okay. What's your view about that?
I'm running for House of Assembly in Abia State. Am I not enough to be a structure? I know that outside this interview now, you yourself, you're obedient. The average young man in Nigeria is obedient. So what other structure are you talking about? Is there any house they built and say this is structure? It's human beings that is the structure. And where the structure is everywhere. When you go to Facebook now, is the structure. In 2014, APC was just on social media. When they were going around, nobody believed them. Everybody was like, no, how can you defeat an incumbent? How can you do this? How can you do that? But by midnight of that election day, a lot of people who were conversant with voting pattern knew that Buhari had won the election. So when they say structure, I laugh at them, because most of them who are saying this structure thing are people who are actually threatened. So they're trying to deflect the wave, they're trying to remove their mind from the fear already. But if it is structure, P2B has structures all over Nigeria. Where the structure, where the people who are going to be in our different polling units that day, where the people going to cast the vote, protect the vote, and now INEC had given assurances, like what happened in Ekiti, that the votes are going to count, and that is another reason why people are beginning to also register. There is nothing like incident form again. It's either the beaver captures you, you vote, or you're not voting. Simple.
Okay, we're still with Obioma in the studio, and we're rounding up our discussion. So now let's narrow it down now to Umuahia South State constituency. The elections are still a little bit far, but what would you be telling your people as regards your candidacy?
My good people of Umuahia South, we already know ourselves. I grew up with my people. I have lived and done business living in Umuahia South. I have the capacity to do this job. I am not distracted. I don't have any other thing I do apart from my construction. I have earned and still earning a legitimate living. Nobody can call me a thief. I'm a very readily accessible. My brothers are always with me. So my plea, today is that we should be able to support Labour Party so that we can improve the lives of our people, so that we can able to have our children go to school. We can be able to create a job for those who wants to do business. We can support them to do their businesses. I am going to create an enabling environment where the average Umuahia South person is able to access government, is able to get close to government and say what you want, and be sure that government will be able to help you. It's not about any party. When I become your representative, what will be most important to me is the welfare of my Umuahia South people. Is no longer going to be Labour Party or PDP or anything. So I am pleading and asking that we all become partners in this project. One thing is certain, whatever promise I make, I will keep it, and I will fulfill my promises. So please, join hands with me, join hands with Dr. Alex Oti, join hands with Peter Obi. Let us move Umuahia South, Abia State, and Nigeria forward.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have been able to interact with the House of Assembly, current House of Assembly member of the PDP representing that same state constituency. We've interacted with the Abga as candidate also for that same House of Assembly. And now it's also with the Labour Party candidate for that same House of Assembly. And we'll bring you on. This is not the end of our interaction. More interactions will come as the elections intensify, as the campaign fully opens. That's when we'll do more. So I want to thank you so much for being with us. I want you to keep watching all our platforms. Our YouTube handle is very active. You can go there and view it. Our Facebook handle, our Twitter, and our Instagram. My name remains Emin Kirebu, the anchor of this show. And I thank you so much for joining us now and also being part of us. Thank you. God bless, and have a wonderful day.